Let's get started with today's story. It all began on a Friday morning when Cynthia was packing her suitcase for a weekend in Vegas. Her best friend Linda was getting married again. Yes, again. Linda's first marriage had crashed and burned because she couldn't keep her hands off another man. I'd always had my reservations about Linda, but Cynthia defended her relentlessly. "She's changed," Cynthia said, while folding a slinky black dress into her bag. "She's ready to settle down now." I gave her a skeptical look. "And yet she chose Vegas for her bachelorette party?" Cynthia sighed, rolling her eyes. "Don't start, Robert. It's just 2 days. I'll be with the girls the entire time." She kissed me goodbye, promising to call every night. I wasn't thrilled, but I trusted her, or so I thought. On Saturday night, as I was relaxing in front of the TV, my phone buzzed. It was my cousin Matt. He was in Vegas for the weekend with some friends, celebrating a promotion. "Hey man," he said, his voice hesitant. "I don't know how to say this, but I think I saw Cynthia at a club." I frowned. "Yeah, she's there for Linda's bachelorette party. Why?" "She's not just with the girls," Matt said carefully. "She's with a guy. They're close." My stomach tightened. Close? What does that mean? Dancing? Hugging? It's not innocent. My head spun. "Are you sure it's her?" "Yes, I am sure," Matt said. "Want me to step in? Let her know I'm here?" I paused, my heart pounding. If Matt confronted her, she'd know she was being watched. She might stop, but that wouldn't mean she hadn't wanted to. I needed the truth even if it destroyed me. "No," I said. "Don't approach her. Just keep an eye on her." An hour later, my phone buzzed again. Matt's name flashed on the screen, and I braced myself, hoping he'd tell me everything was just a misunderstanding. His voice was strained when he spoke. "She kissed him, Robert. I've got a photo." For a moment, I couldn't respond. It was as though the air had been sucked out of the room. My throat felt dry, and my heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear. "Send it," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. The message arrived seconds later. My hand trembled as I opened it, and when I saw the image, the world seemed to tilt. There she was, Cynthia, my wife of 12 years, the woman I had built a life with, standing in the dim glow of a club, her arms wrapped around another man. His hands gripped her waist, and their lips were pressed together in a kiss that looked anything but fleeting. I stared at the photo for what felt like an eternity. The image was burned into my mind, her flushed face, her fingers resting on his shoulders, and the unmistakable intimacy of it all. It was undeniable. "They're leaving the club," Matt said. "Should I follow?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. "Don't lose them. Let me know where they go." The next 30 minutes were agonizing. I sat on the edge of the couch, staring at my phone, waiting for Matt's updates. Every minute felt like an hour. I imagined Cynthia leaving the club, laughing with this man, walking hand in hand through the bustling Vegas streets. When Matt finally called again, my heart jumped into my throat. "They're heading to a hotel," he said, his voice low. "I'm following them now." "They're not being discreet, Robert. He's got his arm around her." I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block out the mental image. "Which hotel?" Matt named the place, and I recognized it immediately. That was Cynthia's hotel. "They're at the elevator now," Matt said, his voice tense. "They're going up, just them, no one else." I didn't know what to say. My chest felt tight, my breath shallow. The confirmation hit me like a sledgehammer. "I don't think they're coming back down tonight," Matt said softly. For a long moment I didn't speak. There was nothing to say. "Thanks, Matt," I said finally, my voice barely audible. "I'll handle it from here." "You sure you're okay?" he asked. "No," I admitted, "but I'll figure it out." After we hung up, I sat there in silence, staring at the photo on my phone. The evidence was clear. Cynthia had crossed a line at the club, and now she was in her hotel room with another man, about to cross another, one that couldn't be undone. I thought about calling her, demanding an explanation. But what would be the point? She'd deny it. She'd twist the story. I needed to confront her face to face. I needed to see it with my own eyes, even if it destroyed me. With my heart in pieces and my hands shaking, I booked the first flight to Vegas. I barely slept that night. My mind was racing, replaying the photo Matt had sent and the updates he'd given me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Cynthia in that club, her lips pressed against another man's. By dawn, I was at the airport, sitting in a stiff vinyl chair at the gate. The flight to Vegas felt like an eternity. My stomach churned with every passing minute, a toxic mix of anger, hurt, and anxiety bubbling inside me. I kept staring at the photo on my phone, trying to process how we had ended up here. How had the woman I loved, the woman I thought loved me, done this to us? When I landed, Matt was waiting for me near baggage claim. He looked as drained as I felt, his usual confident demeanor replaced with a grim seriousness. "Hey," he said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" "No," I admitted, my voice flat. "But I'm here." "You sure you want to go through with this?" he asked, searching my face. "It's going to be ugly, Robert." "I need to," I said, my jaw tightening. "I need more proof." That evening, after hours of lying low, Matt and I finally tracked Cynthia and her friends to a trendy rooftop bar overlooking the Vegas Strip. It was the kind of place she loved: dim lighting, loud music, and overpriced cocktails. I stayed back, lingering near the entrance while Matt moved closer to keep an eye on them. "She's with Linda and the others," Matt said, his voice low as he relayed updates through his phone. "They're at a table near the edge of the patio." I edged closer, keeping to the shadows. From where I stood, I could see her clearly. Cynthia, my wife, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. She was radiant, her hair styled perfectly, her dress hugging her figure in all the right ways. It was the same dress she had packed that morning before leaving for this trip, the one she had told me was just for fun. I felt a pang of betrayal. That dress wasn't for me. It was for him. Then he showed up. I recognized him instantly, the same man from the photo. Tall, broad-shouldered, with an easy grin and a cocky swagger. He wasn't alone, though. Another man was with him, probably his friend. My blood boiled as I watched Cynthia's face light up when she saw him. She stood smoothing her dress and threw her arms around his neck as he leaned in close. "She's all over him," Matt muttered through the phone. "I can't believe this." Neither could I. I stayed frozen in place, my fists clenched at my sides. Every instinct screamed at me to march over there, to demand an explanation, to tear this guy apart. But I couldn't. Not yet. I needed proof, undeniable evidence that she couldn't talk her way out of. The minutes ticked by painfully as I watched them together. The rest of the group seemed to fade into the background. Cynthia and the guy were in their own little world, laughing, touching, leaning closer. And then it happened. He leaned in, brushing a strand of hair from her face, and she didn't pull away. Instead, she tilted her head, her lips meeting his in a slow, deliberate kiss. I snapped a photo, my hands shaking with rage. But as I looked at the image on my phone, I knew it wasn't enough. A kiss could be excused, spun into something it wasn't. I needed more. Matt was on the phone again, his voice tight. "You got that?" "I got it," I said through gritted teeth. "But we're not done. Let's see where this goes." After a while, the group finished their drinks and began to leave the bar. Cynthia walked out with the man by her side, while his friend chatted closely with Linda. The other women from the bachelorette party broke off, laughing and heading further down the strip, clearly planning to continue their night elsewhere. Matt and I followed at a distance, keeping to the shadows as Cynthia and Linda walked hand in hand with the two men toward her hotel. My heart pounded with every step, the weight of what I was about to uncover pressing down on me like a vice. When they reached the entrance of the hotel, Cynthia glanced around briefly, as if checking to see if anyone was watching. Then she and Linda led the two men inside. Matt and I slipped into the lobby just in time to see them step into the elevator together. Cynthia, Linda, and the two men. My heart shattered as the elevator doors slid shut, taking them away. "What's the plan, Robert?" Matt asked. I didn't hesitate. "We're ending this. I'm not leaving without the truth." Inside the lobby, I approached the front desk, my phone gripped tightly in my hand. I didn't have a prepared speech. I just knew I had to act. The receptionist, a young guy in his early 20s, gave me a polite smile. "How can I help you, sir?" I pulled up a photo of Cynthia and me from our wedding day. In the picture, we were beaming, arms wrapped around each other, full of hope for the future. I showed it to the receptionist. "That's my wife," I said, my voice steady but cold. "She's been staying here for the weekend. I need to get into her room." The receptionist hesitated, his smile faltering. "I'm sorry, sir. We have policies about guest privacy." I cut him off, my voice firm. I understand your policy, but I'm telling you, my wife is upstairs, and she's cheating on me right now. I need to see for myself." I leaned closer, lowering my voice. "This isn't just some paranoid suspicion. I have proof." I held up the photo Matt had taken of Cynthia kissing the man, my hand shaking slightly. The receptionist's eyes widened and he glanced at the image, then at me. He looked conflicted, his professionalism battling with his sense of empathy. "Please," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "I just need to know the truth. I'm not asking for anything else." After a long pause, he exhaled and nodded reluctantly. "Okay," he said quietly, "but keep it discreet." He handed me a key card, his hand brushing mine briefly. "Room 821. "Thank you," I said, my voice heavy with both gratitude and dread. The elevator ride to the 8th floor felt like an eternity. My heart pounded against my ribcage, each beat louder than the last. Matt had stayed behind in the lobby, ready to jump in if things went south. I appreciated his presence, but this was something I needed to face alone. When I reached the door to room 821, I hesitated, keycard hovering over the lock. My hand trembled as I pulled my phone from my pocket, started recording, and then slid the keycard through the reader. The small green light flashed to grant me access. The door creaked open, and the sight that greeted me was worse than anything I had imagined. Cynthia and the guy were in bed together. His shirt was off, her dress discarded on the floor. They froze when they saw me, their faces a mixture of shock and guilt. But that wasn't all. On the other side of the bed was Linda, completely entangled with the man's friend. Her laughter from moments before had died on her lips as she turned to see me standing in the doorway. My vision blurred with a mix of rage and heartbreak as I stepped further into the room. "What the hell is this?" I shouted, my voice shaking but loud enough to cut through the silence. "Go on, someone explain!" Cynthia scrambled to cover herself, clutching the sheets to her chest. "Robert, wait!" she cried, her voice panicked. "It's not what it looks like!" I let out a bitter laugh, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "Not what it looks like? Are you seriously going to say that? You're literally in bed with him, Cynthia." I pointed to the man, who had the audacity to avoid my gaze as he hastily grabbed his shirt. Tears welled in Cynthia's eyes, but I felt no pity. She'd made her choice. Linda, ever the opportunist, tried to step in. "Robert, calm down," she said, pulling on a robe. I turned my fury on her. "Don't even start, Linda. You're just as bad. Cheating on your fiancé days before the wedding? Do you think I'm going to let him marry you without knowing what you've done?" Her face drained of color, and she stammered, It's not like that. It's just a mistake." I whipped back toward Cynthia, my voice sharp and accusing. "A mistake? No. Linda might be calling her disaster a mistake, but you, Cynthia, you brought him here. You brought all of them here. This isn't some one-time slip-up. You planned this, and you've been lying to my face all weekend." Cynthia started sobbing, the sound grating on my nerves. "Robert, please," she begged. "It didn't mean anything. I was drunk." "Drunk?" I cut her off. "Don't insult me, Cynthia. I've been watching you all weekend. You weren't drunk at the club when you kissed him. You weren't drunk when you brought him back to your room last night. This isn't a mistake. It's a pattern." She opened her mouth to argue, but I held up my hand. "Don't," I said sharply. "I don't want to hear it. You've said enough." I stopped the recording and shoved my phone into my pocket. My chest heaved as I stormed out of the room, trying to process what I'd just seen. Matt was waiting for me in the lobby, his face grim as I walked up to him. "Well?" he asked. "It's over," I said, my voice cold and flat. "I've seen enough." The next morning, I called my lawyer to start the divorce process. I didn't waste any time. I couldn't be in this marriage anymore. I met Cynthia downstairs in her hotel lobby for what I knew would be the final confrontation. She looked like she hadn't slept, her eyes red and swollen. When she saw me, her face softened, and she rushed over, almost as if she was hoping to fix everything with a few words. "Robert, please. It was a mistake. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. I love you," she pleaded, her voice shaking, her face streaked with tears. I stood there numb, the weight of everything crashing down on me. The woman I'd trusted, the woman I thought was my partner for life, had shattered that trust beyond repair. "It meant enough for you to lie to me," I shot back, my voice ice cold. "It meant enough to destroy everything we had." Her face twisted in desperation. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was just supposed to be one night." "One night?" I interrupted, disbelief ringing in my voice. "You think sleeping with another man for just one night isn't a big deal? And it wasn't one night. It was two. How many times have you lied to me, Cynthia? How many lies were we living with? I'm done with you." Her sobs were muffled as she crumbled, burying her face in her hands. But my resolve didn't waver. It was clear now. The woman I thought I knew was gone. Before I left Vegas, I sent the video to Linda's fiancé. I knew I owed him the truth, no matter how much it tore at him. An hour later, he called me, his voice breaking. "Thank you for telling me, Robert," he said, his words coming out in ragged breaths. "I don't know what to say, but thank you. The wedding's canceled." I didn't say much else. I wasn't looking for gratitude. I wasn't trying to make myself feel better. I just needed to make sure Linda faced the consequences of what she'd done. When I boarded my flight back home, the reality of what had just happened hit me like a freight train. The last few days felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My marriage was over. The woman I loved had betrayed me, and yet there was a part of me that felt oddly relieved. It was a relief I hadn't expected, but it was there nonetheless. I deserved better than this. I deserved someone who wouldn't lie to my face, someone who wouldn't betray my trust. The days that followed were filled with paperwork, lawyers, and the crushing weight of finality. A week later, Cynthia moved out. She took her things in silence. Not that there was anything left for her here. When the last of her bags were gone, it felt like a chapter of my life was finally closed. The silence in the house was deafening, but it was also peaceful. I haven't spoken to her since, and I don't plan to. I've been through enough to know that some mistakes can't be forgiven. Maybe she regretted it, but regret wasn't going to undo the damage. She made her choices, and now I had to live with mine. And for the first time in ages, I felt like I was starting over. Alone, but free. I spent the next few months focusing on myself. I threw myself into work, got back into hobbies I'd neglected, and reconnected with old friends. Slowly, I began to rebuild my life from the rubble she'd left behind. I wasn't looking for another relationship, not yet. But I knew one thing for sure. I wouldn't settle for anything less than someone who respected me, someone who understood that trust was earned, not given. And as for Cynthia, I have no idea where she is now, what she's doing, or if she's learned anything from this. But that's no longer my problem. The only person I have to worry about now is me. Some mistakes can't be forgiven. Some betrayals run too deep. In the end, I realized that walking away was the only choice left. I had given everything, but she had broken what we had, and that was something I couldn't fix. Thank you for watching.